Thanks, Sam. I appreciate the introduction, and on behalf of BOL Learning Connect, for all of you participating today, thanks for being here. My information is that the group contains security officers, branch and operations managers, tellers, and their supervisors, perhaps a couple of customer service representatives, and a couple of executives. I hope that your retail operations and bookkeeping departments are also represented today, because those are the folks who often have the best chance of stopping this activity regarding forgery, altered documents, and counterfeiting. And what you should have available to you as part of the presentation today is the workbook text that is entitled Forgery, Altered Documents, and Counterfeiting. My presentation follows the workbook headings, and I'll let you know where we are along the way. Headings are also visible on every PowerPoint slide. And I have a second computer running here that has the text version of your workbook so that I can let you know approximate page and paragraph numbers. Sam did not tell you this, but you should know about my reason for being here today. I'm not a banker, never have been. I'm not an attorney, never want to be. But what I am is a former law enforcement officer with a particular specialty in working financial or economic crimes. I spent a lot of years doing that. And I've been teaching about forgery-related issues, both as a cop and as a private person, for more than 35 years. Not a record, but better than average. What's particularly disheartening, however, is that I'm still using about 80% of my same material that I used when I started teaching 35 years ago, because for some reason, the financial services industry doesn't get it. That you stand to lose more money due to forgery and forgery-related crimes than any other source I can think of except for identity theft. So many of the techniques we talk about today, and the ones that offenders use to forge, alter, and counterfeit documents are decades old. Those techniques are usually simple, they're easy to perform, and they're usually very effective. That's why offenders keep using them. They work. Most of the prevention techniques we also talk about today are also simple, also easy to perform, and they're also very effective. But as an industry, however, you don't use most of the prevention tools that are readily available to you, and I'll show you how you can resolve half of your forgery issues today for less than $40. So we'll talk about those. My presentation addresses the basic methodology and appropriate techniques for identifying and preventing potential document-related losses. Any document or device may be altered in form or content to deviate from its original purpose and then negotiated at a financial institution. And most of the things that you deal with in a variety of different formats deal with people's signatures. And if you miss it at that particular juncture, whether it is new accounts, whether it is human resources for employment, whether it is the lending function, whether it is contract management, if you miss a forgery there, you could lose not only tens of thousands of dollars, you could lose millions of dollars along the way. So many institution-related crimes rely on successful forgeries. And we'll talk about these crimes and those that may have an indirect impact upon your bank as well. So become familiar with the generalized fraud reporting services such as FraudNet and Fraud Alert. You have Crime Dex on Bankers Online, and you have Alerts and Counterfeits component on Bankers Online. 4 excellent choices, resources for you to be able to use to be able to stop this kind of activity. So if you're ready to go, I'm ready to go, and I'm going to move over to your slide, number 2, and we will be on page 5 of your 21-page workbook text for the remainder of this presentation today. Now, by way of introduction, negotiable and non-negotiable documents, negotiable meaning a check or something of that nature. Non-negotiable documents could be a driver's license or a registration form or something of that nature. Those devices are frequently stolen, counterfeited, altered, and forged. Recognize that you will sustain losses from these things. You will establish thresholds for investigations along the way, but you have to be able to expect some losses, particularly as they occur to forgery, for one very simple reason. The majority of forgeries are passed at the retail operations level, which seems to be more interested in moving transactions along and gathering more money in the way of deposits throughout the day. But security is different. We look at things to be able to slow things down, to give our employees an opportunity to exercise reasonable and prudent care in accepting transactions. So sometimes retail operations and security may be at odds at this, but there will be some losses. We'll talk about where those losses come from and what you can do about them throughout this presentation. So please understand that any document or device may be altered in form or content to deviate from its original purpose. Most documents that take small losses from you are what we call A to B documents. They are issued by one source, they're negotiated in another one, and that is the intent, that it is a straight-line transaction that causes a shift in title, goods, property, or money from point A to point B. When documents are forged, other information may be inserted. When they're altered, there may be a C component to this that diverts the title, good, property, or money from the intended recipient over to someone else. So just for right now, by way of introduction, please believe that anything can be forged, altered, counterfeited along the way. And forgery is a generic term. It also includes document alterations and many counterfeits, but mostly we just rely on this word forgery to describe most of the things that these documents and these techniques can do. So now I need to give you, on your slide number 3, some definitions. And you know there's no test at the end of this presentation today, but these are things that would be useful for you to teach your bookkeeping department, retail operations personnel, and supervisors that may be called upon to authenticate or to verify signatures for certain transactions. So let's look at the different parts to a forgery. Forgery is a complicated crime in many ways. A document bears markings or writings that are designed to identify or authenticate the document presenter, such as a driver's license, or other documents, such as a check or something of that nature. We'll keep that part simple. So a document is something that bears marking. A device is a mechanism that is designed to cause or assist a negotiation. A mechanism could be a paymaster machine where you dial in the numbers, crank down on the handle, and create an official check. It could be a software program. It could be having stolen somebody's PIN and using it at the ATM. A forged document is one that contains the signature of a real or a fictitious person. Could be Dana Turner, could be Mickey Mouse. But it's a document that has been forged, and it contains a signature. And the parts of the document may also have been altered along the way. We'll talk more about each one of these as we go through the presentation today. If we move over to your slide number 4, we're still on page 5 of your workbook material. Let's talk about an altered document. It's one that has been modified or changed from its original form. Let's say that one of your customers did some housekeeping for somebody, got a check for $100, put it in her purse, and her purse was stolen. Well, the thief is going to take the cash and then sell the credit cards and any checks that may be in there. So while it may have been made out to Jane Smith originally, that check in the purse now becomes altered, and another name has been either added on or modified along the way. So this is what happens when crooks find things that are already prepared. They just simply alter the flow from A to B to A to C. Counterfeit document is one that has been created by an unauthorized source. Okay, right now, to my knowledge, according to the Secret Service, the most flagrant counterfeiters of American currency is the nation of North Korea. And they have created something 10 years ago called a super note. And this super note is virtually undetectable in America's currency system. It'll defy your marking pins, and unless you have a really good microscope, it may be difficult to see the differences between an authentic note and a counterfeit one. Well, so a counterfeit one then becomes something that is created by an unauthorized source. We have not outsourced the printing of our currency to North Korea, in imitation of a legitimate document that's created by us along the way. So here you've got 5 different definitions of things that you may want to consider as part of your staff and supervisor training program. So employees on slide 5 should be familiar with the methods that offenders use to forge, and this is what I'm going to do for you today. I'm going to teach you how to forge altered documents and counterfeit them along the way, because if you know how it's done, you know about the telltale clues that every one of those types of crimes will leave behind. So when you do a crime, there is no such thing, by the way, as a perfect crime. I've looked at a variety of them, and there is a telltale clue that is left in every one of them. So at least for today, recognize that every kind of document manipulation crime is going to leave some kind of a telltale clue. So when you determine what you have there, or you think what you have in the way of a document, then you can start looking at the different ways that this could have been manipulated, and the clues will be able to point you in the right direction. And you're thinking, golly, do I have to do this on every check, every job application, every loan document? No, you don't. You don't have to do it on any of them, actually. But when the hearing